Ganondorf. Everyone's favorite Gerudo King by day and Lord of Darkness by night. Sometimes he's an all-powerful, malicious, demon-looking creature, and other times he's a bit less threatening. Today, we're gonna look at Ganondorf's character in every Legend of Zelda game and rank him from worthless to elite. Ganon debuts along with the series, and plays a pretty standard video game bad guy role. He's after world domination, and attempts to steal the Triforce of Power and Wisdom to do so. He gets the Triforce of Power, but Zelda splits the other one and spreads it all across the kingdom, and he kidnaps her for it. Link finds the pieces before him, restores the Triforce of Wisdom, and uses it to defeat a more pig-looking Ganon and save the day. It's a typical bad guy role, not far off from what Bowser or Eggman might do, so... I got the lore for this game wrong last time, I'm sorry. The Zelda we see at the beginning is the original Zelda, and since a sleeping spell was placed on her for centuries, Hyrule named every new princess in her honor. So there's multiple Zeldas, got it. There's only one Ganon though, and he's not around here. It was actually even one of his disciples that placed that spell all those years ago, and he himself is just a pile of ashes. His minions are still tormenting Hyrule though, and believe that sprinkling Link's blood on Ganon's ashes will bring him back to life. It's weird, but apparently true, because every time Link dies, he's there laughing at us in the game over screen, and that's the only time we see him in the game. His troops and evil force are the reason Hyrule is in shambles, so he's not entirely worthless, but since he's not really present, I'll toss him in troublemaker tier. This game has a lot of lore, and most of it's just told to us, not actually shown. Ganondorf and some other thieves figure out how to travel to the Sacred Realm and collect the Triforce, and upon getting there, Ganon kills his former allies and keeps the Triforce all to himself. But right when he touches it, this Sacred Realm is corrupted by him, becoming the Dark World, and transforming him into his boar demon form, Ganon. He started some wars with Hyrule, yada yada yada, the Seven Sages seal him away into the Dark World. Fast forward a bit to Ganon creating an alter ego, the evil wizard Aghanim, who becomes a close advisor to the King of Hyrule, and eventually uses the power to take out the king, brainwash the soldiers and the bad guys, and Uno reverse the Seven Sages into the Dark World, and allow his influence to fully spread into Hyrule. And after Aghanim's defeated, there's no one left but Ganon to fight, and he's got the power of the full Triforce on his side, which makes him stronger than ever, but even still, Link is able to beat him. Being fully powered into essentially a god makes him a pretty high-caliber villain, and while Aghanim does the legwork throughout, since he's just an offshoot of Ganon's evil spirit, it's basically him doing everything, so he's going up in elite. He's not in this one, but the final boss shapeshifts into a Ganon lookalike that has the same attacks from the last game. Still gotta put him in Higon though. Ocarina of Time is the first appearance of Ganon's human form. He's the king of the Gerudo, and is a very manipulative and powerful ruler. He forms an alliance with the neighboring kingdom of Hyrule, and gets on the king's good side while he concocts a plan to take him down and rule his land. Zelda sees evil intent behind him, but he's got everyone else fooled, and it's enough for things to play out exactly how he'd want. Link collects the 3 spiritual stones as Zelda asked, so Ganon couldn't get them, but opens the portal to the Sacred Realm without checking his surroundings first, and Ganon just sneaks in behind him and grabs the Triforce. But because he doesn't have a pure heart or some nonsense, the Triforce splits and he only obtains the Triforce of Power. He still uses that newfound strength to conquer all of Hyrule, while Link is waiting to reawaken as the hero of time, and Zelda is just kinda hiding. The 3 each hold a piece of the Triforce, and when Zelda meets back up with Link at the Temple of Time, Ganon kidnaps her and encourages Link to try and save her. So he scales his castle and confronts him for an epic battle, and Link with the Triforce of Courage is stronger than Ganon with the Triforce of Power. So in a last-ditch effort, he collapses the castle and tries to crush Zelda and Link in the rubble, but they end up escaping just in time. That's not the end of him though. He still wields the Triforce of Power and uses it to its max to become his more boar-like demon form, with a golden sword in each hand. This final form of Ganon is not only terrifying, but is also extremely challenging, and a worthy final boss in what many consider to be one of the greatest games of all time. But to fully beat him, Zelda has to hold him in place, Link has to slash at his head with the Master Sword, all the while the 6 sages work at sealing him away. So it took the full power of just about every other force in the Zelda universe to temporarily get rid of him. That screams elite tier, and with everything else he accomplished throughout the game, there's not a doubt in my mind. This game takes place right after Ocarina of Time, so Ganon's not present in this game at all. He gone. In the linked ending of Oracle of Ages and Seasons, he's reawakened by the Twinrova sisters, who are trying to resurrect him throughout the events of the game, and finally kinda succeeded by sacrificing themselves. Whatever ritual they were doing to bring him back wasn't done completely right though, because Ganon spawns as a mindless beast, and without any power from the Triforce, is weaker than he's been in most other games. This boar form is pretty physically strong, but without a clever plan on his part or any godly powers, it leaves him about as weak as we've ever seen, so I'm gonna put him in Troublemaker tier. The main bad guy here is Vaati, Ganon Gone. Ganondorf was absolutely terrorizing Hyrule without the presence of the Hero of Time, so the gods flooded everything to keep his wrath from damaging things further. He still wants more though, so he scours the Great Sea for pieces of the Triforce, and anyone who looks remotely like they could be the reincarnation of Zelda is his top priority, since she usually holds the Triforce of Wisdom. He also sends a couple minions to go kill the Sages of the Earth and Wind, which would deem the Master Sword worthless. Unbeknownst to Link, he retrieves the sword anyways, and it removes all the restraints on Ganondorf's power that were placed by the gods, bringing him back to his full strength. When he first confronts Link, he kicks his ass, and goes to rip the Triforce of Wisdom from Tetra, who he realizes is Princess Zelda, but some weird bird thing swoops by and snags him for a timely escape. So Link goes to find the Triforce of Courage and restores the Master Sword's former glory, while Ganon finds the base where Zelda was hiding and captures her. They confront each other, Ganondorf trauma dumps on Link for a second, then lunges at him and smacks away the Master Sword, knocking him on the ground. With Zelda passed out and Link vulnerable, he could have easily just stomped his face into the pavement, but he doesn't, and combines all the Triforce pieces peacefully. And all he has to do is touch it and he'll get everything he wants. Say it with me now, but that's not how it plays out. The king appears out of nowhere and places his hand on it, which gives him the ability to wish for whatever he wants, and that's reviving Zelda and Link and destroying Ganondorf for good. Only half of that comes true. Link and Zelda tag team against a not-so-super Ganondorf and beat him with relative ease. He's pretty acrobatic and is a damn good swordsman, but Link plunges the Master Sword into his forehead and turns him to stone. Just like in Ocarina of Time, everything plays out exactly as Ganondorf needed, but he lets his guard down at the most pivotal moment and costs himself access to ultimate power. So we never fight Ganon at full strength. He gets awfully close and throws around the main characters like ragdolls for most of the game, but fumbles it in the end and doesn't seem all that menacing throughout the game. He seems more collected and mellow than usual, and way less violent, literally saying to Link that he won't kill him. So although he doesn't look like it, he'll go pretty menacing.
You wouldn't settle for Bateman when there's Batman?
Don't touch that.
Well, now I want to touch it more.
Yup, shouldn't have touched it. Little help.
Another Vaati central plot. Ganon's nowhere to be seen. This is when the timeline gets tricky, but after Twilight Princess, we get a new incarnation of the Demon King, and he's pretty much the same as usual. He tricks Link into releasing Vaati, who distracts him for most of the game, while he defeats the Knights of Hyrule, turns them into demons, and opens a gateway to the Dark World through corrupting the Royal Jewels. We don't really see him until the very end of the game, though, where he's in massive boar mode and holds the Triforce of Power, so he's pretty damn strong. For a Ganondorf role, it's pretty typical, but that's because he's an above-average villain in general, so this game still belongs at least in pretty menacing. The events of this game take place not that long after Ocarina of Time, with Ganondorf being sentenced to death by the Sages, and when they try to kill him, the Triforce of Power within him manages to barely keep him alive, and give him the strength to break out of his chains and kill one of the Sages. So in an absolute panic, the remaining ones ship him off to the Twilight Realm to temporarily keep peace in Hyrule. It's very short-lived though, because Ganon quickly influences the King of the Twilight, Zant, into spreading his dark force back into Hyrule and eventually allowing for his own return. He's basically Ganon's bitch, but for a majority of the game, it seems like Zant's the main bad guy, but after you defeat him, the true sorcerer behind everything is revealed. When he's first confronted by Link, he's sitting atop the throne in Hyrule Castle, and Zelda, who was kidnapped by Zant earlier in the game, is unconscious above them. And since Ganon hadn't fully manifested into the Light World yet, he possesses the Princess Zelda herself for the first phase of the final boss. Her floating around almost weightlessly looks like something straight out of a horror movie, and it's a pretty twisted and well-executed boss. But after that, he takes his full Demon Lord form, looking less boar-like as he did previously, and going for a full-on mythical nightmare aesthetic, and it works really well. And that's still not the last phase. Midna was seemingly finishing him off for good with some kind of light spear as the screen faded to white, but it comes back with Ganon on horseback ready to fight some more. This dude just doesn't stop. So Zelda and Link pursue him on horseback, shooting light arrows at him as they go, and finally knock him off, only to set up one final phase where it's Ganon v Link in sword-to-sword combat. A lightning storm ensues, and the two clash their blades with all their might, until Link is able to mount him and stick his sword right through his chest. But even defeated, he stands back up with the last ounce of strength he has to die with dignity. This dude is a f***ing menace. He looks and feels more sinister than ever before, from start to finish. Maybe it's the gritty visuals or the darker tone of the story overall, but this Ganon is in a tier of his own, and is as high of an elite as I could possibly make him. Both Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks take place in the same timeline as the Wind Waker, where he was already turned to stone and left to rot underwater. So he gone and he gone. Ganon's not directly in this game, but the main villain, Demise, is revealed to be the origin of Ganon, who spawned from the demon's pure hatred and malice towards Zelda and Link. Still, we're not ranking Demise, so he gone. This game introduces a new villain, Yuga, and he's doing most of the bad stuff himself. Ganon's once again not alive for a majority of the game, but after Yuga captures all 7 sages and portraits, he uses their power to resurrect Ganon and merge with him to form the Demon King Yuga Ganon, or Yuganon. Together, they have 2 pieces of the Triforce, Ganon's Triforce of Power and Hilda's Triforce of Wisdom, which she stole from Zelda. He's stupid strong, and this is an awesome final boss, but since Ganon wasn't the one cooking up this scheme and Yuga gets most of the credit, I'm gonna have to put him in typical bad guy. And he gone in Triforce Heroes, so on to the most recent incarnation of Ganon. Breath of the Wild introduces Calamity Ganon, which is the raw evil force that manifested itself into every past version of Ganondorf. Most of the big story elements take place via flashback. It shows us how Calamity Ganon rose to power 100 years ago, and how he corrupted the Divine Beast into fighting for him, and took control of the Guardians specifically designed to defend against him. All of that causes the kingdom to fall to ruin, but before he completely wipes it off the face of the earth, Zelda holds him in gridlock within Hyrule Castle. Hold up, this little girl with no Triforce power is strong enough to match his power for 100 years straight? That's not a good look for him, but I digress. Link eventually fights the demon in Hyrule Castle, where he takes the form of a giant monster, made out of a bunch of Sheikah technology parts and malice. After you beat him, he transforms into Dark Beast Ganon, which is more reminiscent of his previous boar forms, but Zelda and Link work together and do somehow win the fight. This Calamity Ganon is way more powerful feeling than ever before. I mean, throughout the entire game, you can see the corrupted castle off in the distance, knowing you can't stop it yet. And when you actually do fight him, he's massive, and honestly pretty scary. This one's an easy elite. Cue the sequel. Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom trumps all his previous performances, bar none. It starts off about as well as it could for him. Zelda and Link discover him underneath Hyrule Castle in some ruins, and when he reawakens, a bunch of gloom shoots out of him, and when Link goes to deflect it with the Master Sword, aka the one that seals away darkness, it deteriorates, along with Link's sword-wielding arm. Zelda falls down a chasm, and Link is just barely saved by some weird arm that later becomes his own. Oh, and Hyrule gets launched into the sky. That's a solid start, and he has a ridiculous amount of power, being able to create doppelgangers of anyone he wants and spawn all-powerful armies out of thin air. He's way more prominent in this game than he was in Breath of the Wild, being fought multiple times as Phantom Ganon, and at the end of the game as his fully recovered human form. This fight is incredible. It's similar to the last phase of the Twilight Princess fight, but somehow tops it in every possible way. Ganondorf is a master swordsman, and having a duel against Link is the best way these two could possibly fight, and the elongated health bar for the second phase was awesome, and made the other bosses in the game just pale in comparison. And that includes the final phase of this battle, where he turns into a giant dragon for some reason. I guess it incorporates the sky theme of this game, which is cool, but not as threatening as other Ganon bosses, especially the one you just finished. But still, he has Hyrule in the palm of his hand, and it takes the combined effort of Zelda, Link, and all the other good guys to stop him. It is absolutely going up in Elite. This game's not out at the time of making this video, but I figured I'd at least mention it so people aren't yelling at me about it a couple months from now. We don't know everything yet, but it looks like Ganon's beast form is making a return, and despite losing to Link at the beginning of this trailer, he drags him down with him, and leaves only Zelda to save the day. Kidnapping the usual hero of Hyrule is a good start, and is looking like it's going to be at least a pretty menacing tier. And there you have it. Real quick, if you take your Nintendo Switch on the go a lot and wish it was easier to lug around, you gotta ditch that clunky old dock. It's bulky, flimsy, and really doesn't have a good reason to be. And Accelerate Gaming's portable dock is the solution you've been waiting for. It cuts the unnecessary plastic of Nintendo's and gives you a sleek, durable, and very portable alternative. And it's only $20, so if you want to enhance your Switch setup and support this channel, go grab one now and use code JeremyK to get an additional 10% off your order. There's a very limited amount of uses on that, so redeem it while you can. And if you disagree with me on any of the rankings in this video, leave your takes down in the comments.